Me no kuni. Kushina frowned as she looked at the little girl begging her for food. The girl did not say anything to her, just looked up at her with those pleading dark blue eyes that told tales of her starvation and hopelessness. And they had more impact on her than she would ever like to admit. While Kushina was a hardened kunoichi, a part of her was still a mother. It was that part that was currently screaming her to help the poor girl out, because she was someone's daughter too. This could have been one of them, if I was not there. No, they would have been probably worse off.
The three siblings watched as their mother took out one of the extra apples that Naruto had made recently from a seal on her cloak. They were still as fresh as they were before being sealed.
The little girl almost seemed to cry out in joy at the sight of healthy food. Thank you so much, lady. Kushina smiled as the girl practically devoured the fruit in no time, moving on to another apple she took from Kushina's hand.
None of them noticed the thug who had just disappeared around the corner amidst the dirty-looking crowd. There were just too many people similar to him around to pay the person any special heed.
Natsumi kneeled down next to the blue-haired girl that looked barely 6 or 7 years old, and seemed to examine her state. She frowned at the malnourished form of the child. What's your name, little one? And where's your mother?
The little girl's mood shifted instantly from one of joy to one of utter horror as she started sobbing. My name is Agaya. Gato's bad men took my mommy and they said she will be more useful under them. I don't know what they mean, but they were so scary.
The siblings looked sympathetically at the girl, as Natsumi patted her head. From what they could understand, Gato's thugs had probably taken her for either prostitution or rape, and by now she was probably dead, so there was nothing they could do. Naruto took another careful glance at the girl. She was very young and had short dark brown, almost black hair with dark blue eyes that held the childlike innocence of a 6-year-old. A normal 6-year-old, unlike him who had already killed around 100 people at the age of 6, and activated the legendary Rinnegan. Sadly, her face also reflected some panic and desperation, which Naruto understood given the circumstances.
Naruto gave Natsumi a look that told her that the following conversation was going to be confidential. They did not need a child to hear it, risking exposure of the information to their enemies. Sometimes his looks tended to be very expressive. Natsumi gave her brother a nod as she temporarily cut off Agaya's hearing with a gentle application of chakra by putting her medical knowledge to good use. The girl never noticed a thing as she continued chewing on her apple, lost in the joyful taste of the fruit that she had been blessed with after starving for days.
Naruto turned his gaze on his mother. So, what are we going to do about all this, Kachan? Considering we're going to end up killing Gato before we leave, what about the wave country? Kushina looked thoughtful at Naruto's question as she pondered on the best way to solve the situation and make the most out of it. The wave country needed help, but why should they help it? What could they get out of it other than the happiness of a small country's populace? They can't just go around helping people and doing charity for no reason. That will do them no good at all, and will only serve to make everything worse.
This country will need a leader, and it will be rather easy to influence the decision on who that will be after we kill Gato. Therefore, we should put someone we trust to support us later as the leader of the wave after we free it. This way we can have an ally to support Uzushiogeku's economy and policy before it is even established, not to mention the undying loyalty of the people here due to freeing them from slavery.
Naruto gave his mother a nod of acceptance. That sounded about right. Besides, if Wave ever decided to betray them, they could always use their ownership over Gato's shipping company to cripple them, which they would obtain after killing him. They may not be as cruel as Gato, but the Wave was surely going to suffer if they ever tried to betray Uzushigaku.
According to the mission details, our client is the one who is building the bridge. Obviously he must have some influence over this area to be able to collect workers willing to work against Gato. We should probably observe this Tazuna person and see if he can be trusted with this responsibility. If not, then we can look for a replacement while here.
His mother and sisters voiced their approval of his plan with silent nods. Natsumi looked nervously at the little girl chewing on an apple next to Kushina's feet. What do we do about her, Kachan?
Kushina sighed, knowing this was coming. There are a lot of poor starving girls out there, Masumi. You know we can't make them all happy. With all our problems, the chances of us being able to take care of a little girl without her being a hindrance are next to none. Her mother's reasoning seemed to weaken Natsumi's resolve as she nodded sadly. She just looks so innocent and young. I can't help but feel pity for her.
Naruto smiled at his sister. Why don't we take her to our client's house? I'm sure if he's the kind of person I think he might be, then he will be willing to take some initiative in arranging proper care for this girl. Seeing as Kushina was about to protest, Naruto waved a hand in dismissal before she could even begin. I know we can't go on a massive help the poor mission, and frankly, I don't want to. No matter how much someone tries, there will always be poor and starving people. Moreover, as sad as the fact is, there will always be poor and starving children as well. The reason I'm doing this for this girl is for some reason Natsumaini seems to have taken a liking to her, and I don't want to see my sister sad. Natsumi gave her brother a grateful grin, as Kushina rolled her eyes. Fine, Sochi-kun, you win. But it will be best to remember that, as a ninja, there will come a time when you might have to make children exactly like this girl cry as you kill their parents. I don't want you to go into shock then.
The blonde boy could only chuckle in amusement. During the years he had been away training with Kyubi, he had seen what the world was like and learned a lot more than just how to fight from the great demoness. Frankly, his mother underestimated him greatly if she thought he was naive. Ka-chan, when we're done rebuilding our village, we can just bring any such children back with us there. They will only contribute to our growth and get an easier life at the same time. As for the rare cases where that might not be possible, I understand that sometimes we have to do some things we don't like and just deal with it. The redhead Kunoichi grinned at her son. Good, I just wanted you all to be ready when the time comes. The ninja world is a harsh place and growing too soft will just end up getting you killed. I will make an exception for this girl though, since you all seem to like her so much. If Tazuna's family refuses to take good care of her, then we can take her to Uzushiogakure when it's rebuilt. Now all we have to do is find out where this Tazuna guy lives.
Naruto puffed out his chest. Leave that to me.
Marching off to the closest man, the blonde-haired half-demon pointed at him. Do you know where Tazuna the bridge builder lives?
Way, please don't hurt me. The person ran away screaming hysterically in fear, leaving Naruto twitching in annoyance. In a blur of speed, Naruto disappeared and reappeared right in front of the scared man, and growled out in a demonic voice. I said, tell me where the bridge builder lives or die. Mwahaha. The man fainted. Finding Tazuna's home had been harder than they expected, especially since Naruto insisted that they let him keep trying to ask people in a booming, demonic voice. Normally, Kushina would have told him not to waste time like that, but no one liked to be serious all the time. And the depression-filled atmosphere in Nami no Kuni was very relaxing for them when compared to Konoha's hate-filled glares. Hell, most men were so starved, defeated, and exhausted that they didn't even bother to drool over the three beauties walking right by them. Some of the shady types would have attempted rape due to the lack of authority in the area, but the presence of a clearly strong male, as well as the healthy state of the girls, made them think twice. Surprisingly, they didn't encounter any of Gato's thugs along the way, which made them somewhat suspicious. Kushina, Kasumi, and Natsumi did get touched several times, but that was mostly by children who were looking for food, and some desperate enough to try to steal it from them. Kushina had taken pity on them and allowed many of them to have a few of Naruto's fruits.
Some might think that since these fruits did not cost her any money, she would have an easier time parting with them. But they would be dead wrong. The simple fact that Naruto made them from his chakra meant that they were a part of him, which was unconsciously making the Uzumaki girls more affectionate towards it and increasing their love for his food due to their bond, as affectionate as they could be towards food anyway.
The people of the wave had not been very helpful with the directions though, so finally Naruto had resorted to putting them under genjutsu each time they needed any help. That way they wouldn't go running away from him screaming like idiots. Naruto pouted. Am I really that scary? Kasumi giggled at her brother. I don't think you're scary at all on Mei-chan. I think you look very handsome and very strong. She sighed happily. Naruto frowned a bit. You think so? I don't expect people to run away like that when someone asks for directions. Kushina rolled her eyes in amusement. When the person asking you has a booming demonic voice and looks about ready to kill you, then yes. People do tend to get scared. Naruto's red-haired sister shook her head as she tried to lift up her brother's mood. They're just stupid, Anuai-chan. You should ignore them. You have us right. I think your voice when you talked to them was especially exciting.
Her blonde brother grinned in triumph. Really, I knew channeling Yoki to my vocal cords will increase the amount of authority in my voice. He made a mental note to do that next time in bed with Kasumi since she said it excited her.
Natsumi shivered slightly, wondering where else he could channel Yoki to make that body part more demonic. I'll find out in due time, I guess. Hi no Kuni. Jumping from tree to tree, a squad of 4 Anbu was making their way towards Nami. No Kuni? This was the squad being led by Kurama Takane, arguably the most talented genjutsu user of Konoha. Only Kurama Yakumo had any hopes of surpassing her clan sister's prowess in genjutsu, thanks to the superior inheritance she had of their bloodline. However, that was not what concerned Takane right now. Kurama Takane cursed herself for every single assumption she had made in her life. Her last assumption was going to cause the death of her, or her idol. Both of them ultimately dooming the future possibility of the Kurama clan as a happy family. She had foolishly assumed that her squad would remain the same, and that might now cost not only her life, but Kushina's as well. While she had assumed that it was just herself leaving for the assassination of Uzumaki Kushina with 3 non-existent teammates, now she had 3 very powerful and completely unfamiliar ninja accompanying her for the said task. The probability of both herself and Kushina returning alive from the mission just dropped from 100% to somewhere around 0. Thankfully, the remainder of her squad mates were told to continue watching over the Kurama clan, which meant their deaths won't be discovered for now, thanks to Yakumo taking over creating their genjutsu images. Had they been assigned to some other task, their deaths would have been known before long. Her anger flared, subconsciously pouring more chakra into her tree jump than necessary, which made the branch she had hopped off from break under the pressure. The 2 males in her squad mostly ignored Takane's behavior. Shit, she's probably having her period. Better stay away from her. The only other Kunoichi narrowed her eyes, though. A mask hid her face, but her orange hair was still visible, identifying her as the only orange-haired Anbu Kunoichi. I'm having my period too, but I'm not being PM's bitch, am I? She's one of the very few high-level Kunoichi, and should work to set the standard like me. Where's my boyfriend when I need him as a punching bag? Spotting the tall, dark, and muscular male, with the kanji in white for lightning, on his pitch-black Anbu mask, the orange-haired Kunoichi gave a cold grin that the man could feel through the Kunoichi's mask. It made him shiver in fright. Meanwhile, Takane's thoughts were still in turmoil. Fuck. The old bastard made the team specifically for the task of taking Kushina-sama down. I don't think she will last long against them. And I can't really do anything much against this team, even if I support her against them because of the censor woman. The Sandame had handpicked the squad of the 2 Kunoichi and 2 shinobi specifically for this mission. The team was capable of exploiting almost every one of Kushina's weaknesses. First was Kurama Takane, who was supposed to use her nigh unbreakable and undetectable genjutsu to disable Kushina. Given her obvious weakness to genjutsu, thanks to her gigantic Uzumaki chakra reserves, that was something that wasn't debatable. While the redhead was somewhat proficient in the illusionary arts, enough to break out of almost any genjutsu anyone could throw at her, Kushina really had nothing to counter the Kurama Kekkei Genkai, as well as Takane's prodigious talent in illusions. Second person who the Sandame picked was the best Raiten ninjutsu expert of Konoha to counter Kushina's Suten. Konoha no Raiden, the Leaf's god of lightning. Takane didn't know his real name. Raiden was the only alias he went by in the Ambu, and their names were usually kept confidential as much as possible. He was the tall, dark, and muscular man that was doomed to be the boyfriend of the orange-haired girl on her period. Worst thing was she was a censor, so he could neither run nor hide away from her.
Third was the stealth and silent killing expert to take the redhead down and deliver the final strike with precision. A chameleon masked Anbu that even Takane didn't know the identity or skills of.
Finally, the last one was an orange-haired Kunoichi Takane, new as Eiko, the best censor in the Ambu ranks, to make sure they succeed in tracking Kushina down and making her death a certainty. She was also the reason that Takane believed she would not be able to help Kushina, as the censor would be able to detect her genjutsu before Takane could even cast them. And then the censor Kunoichi would be able to dispel them accordingly. Fuck!
Takane felt despair flow through her entire being as she tried to think of something, anything, that might help her prevent Kushina's seemingly certain death. When she had been given the mission by the Hokage, the brunette had thought that she would encounter little to no problems. She thought she could simply walk out of the village and camp with the Uzumaki while putting Team 7 under a genjutsu to hide herself. She would then have told them how nicely everything went with fooling the Sandaime as well as his sure-to-fail plan to kill Kushina, and then they would all laugh at how stupid the old man was to even think something like that will even work.
Fuck. The biggest complication I had been able to foresee was where I would hide after Kushina-sama kills me. But this is a fucking shitstorm. Fuckity fuck. Otogakura no Sato. Tayuya sneezed, feeling as if someone was violating her copyrights. Whoever the fucking bitch is that's trying to fucking steal my motherfucking copyrights might as well fuck off right fucking now. Or else I will shove my big fucking boot right up their candy ass. Hear me, you cheap fuck.
Jirobo tried to reprimand her while the rest of the Sound 4 backed away from the crazy bitch. Tayuya, you shouldn't swear. That's unbecoming of a lady. The foul-mouthed redhead glared at her teammate. Yes, of course, Ka-fucking-chan, I'll do as you say. Why don't you teach me all about being a motherfucking lady, since you're obviously one of the most perfect whores I've ever seen. Everyone just loves your fat ass, right? The silence that followed was so absolute that even a pin drop could be heard. Of course, as long as Tayuya is in the room, it can't be silent for long.
Fuck. Unknown location.
You called for me, Arashi-sama. The aristocratic-appearing man gave her a swift nod. Yes, Rin-chan, I want to gauge the skills of the Uzumaki family from Konoha, and I want you to do it. Do not kill any of them. They are all possibly valuable assets for us in the future. Retreat as soon as you have rough estimates on their strength.
The Inuzuka tilted her head questioningly as she addressed her leader once more. I don't understand why you didn't just snatch any number of Uzumaki girls that you needed before you exterminated the clan. The dark-haired man chuckled as he fixed his gaze on her. Nito-chan and Kushina-chan have special chakra, even though Kushina-chan doesn't know anything about it yet. Chakra strong enough to hold down bitch. I need that chakra for my purposes. I believe at least one or maybe both of her daughters must have inherited it from her as well. Confusion marred her face as the dark-haired girl tilted her head. Special chakra? What's so special about the chakra of Sensei's girlfriend and her daughters? The man smiled mysteriously. You will find out in due time, my dear. Now go.
The Inuzuka was about to leave when a thought struck her. Wait, what if they're on a mission or something? At least tell me where they are.
Arashi barely resisted the urge to turn to the girl into paste. If the slight twitch of his eye was any indication, the man was incredibly annoyed. You're the Inuzuka Rin. Why don't you go do some sniffing around like you're supposed to? Chapter end. Ajiha is the same girl who begged Sakura for food in canon. She's not an original character. Greetings, readers. It's been a while since last update.
Naruto Uzumaki. Age, 18 physically, 12 by birth height, 5 feet 10 inches main character blonde.
Kasumi Uzumaki. Age, 16 physically, 12 by birth height, 5'4". Naruto's twin sister redhead. Natsumi Uzumaki. Age, 15 physically, 14 by birth height, 5'3". Naruto's elder sister, blonde. Kushina Uzumaki. Age, 19 physically, 30 by birth height, 5'5". Naruto's mother redhead.
Nina Uzumaki. Age, 19 physically, 84 by birth height, 5 feet 6 inches OC redhead.
Kibi no Yoko. Age, 19 physically, unknown by birth height, 5'6". Naruto's demoness redhead. If you're confused about any other character's info, just say so in the review and I'll respond with the answer. Short summary of chapters 1 through 22. Most training, techniques, and events are not mentioned, just a very brief summary of each chapter. Eternal Mangenkyo Sharingan did not allow Madara to summon Kibai in his fight against Hashirama Senju. This meant that Mito Uzumaki didn't need to become the first Jinchuriki of Kibai no Yoko, which in turn meant Kushina did not need to become the second Jinchuriki. Kushina was visiting her Aunt Mito when a combined army of Kiri, Kumo, and Iwa attacked Uzushigakure no Sato. They received no help from Konoha, and were annihilated save for the few scattered survivors who had been outside the village at that time.
Kyubi was the creator of Sharingan, meant as a prototype before she changed her own eyes into the perfect Sharingan after finding out any flaws. Unfortunately, Madara obtained a stage of the eyes she did not intend anyone to unlock, obtaining eternal youth. She tried to get the eyes back from him, but only managed to acquire one eye before he escaped.
Enraged by Madara escaping, Kyubi went on a rampage and ended up in Konoha. She did not consider them a big enough threat and went on destroying it to relieve stress. Before long, her chakra was sealed into Kasumi, Naruto's twin sister, and soul into Naruto. Minato died doing the sealing. Kushina raised the twins with love and care for the first 3 years of their lives. Then she started taking up missions again. When the twins were 5, Naruto was contacted by Kyubi with an offer to help train him in favor of her extended survival. Naruto accepted. At the age of 6, Naruto obtained the Uzumaki male bloodline that's only been activated twice before. Once by the Sage of 6 Paths, and the second time by Nagato. Not only that, Kyubi also gave him a better version of Sharingan and fused it with his Rinnegan, thus making the Yogengan, Eye of the Prophecy. Naruto and Kasumi were then trained for 2 years by Kushina in all things shinobi, and at the end of that training Naruto was given the dragon summoning contract. He then left Kushina and Kasumi to train with Kyubi for the next 4 years.
During his 4-year-long training trip, he rescued Natsumi, his long-lost elder sister, found another Uzumaki survivor who joined Kushina and Kasumi in Konoha, and met the AIM trio, Nagato, Yahiko and Konan. They became quick friends since Naruto saved Konan from Hanzo using the right moment of distraction, and then later they found out Nagato and Naruto were cousins.
4 years later he came back to meet his mother and sisters, getting together with Kasumi almost right away. He is easily cage level by this time. Together they took the graduation exams, breaking all previous records by a large margin, and Kushina managed to get them into Team 11 with herself as their sensei. Tobi contacts the AIM trio around this time and takes over the Akatsuki. Secretly, the AIM trio inform Naruto about this and tell them about Tobi's plans. The Uzumaki discuss how to deal with the situation amongst themselves, and conclude that they should collect as many clans as allies from all over the elemental nations as possible, and revive Uzushigakure no Sato. Kushina managed to acquire some info on Orochimaru's plan to invade Konoha, so they planned to use it to their advantage in escaping Konoha during the invasion, also causing a lot of damage while at it. To make sure Orochimaru doesn't permanently harm any of them with his cursed seal, they decide to study it first, kidnapping Anko as a way to acquire the seal. Once done with understanding and removing the seal, they give Anko the offer to join them or die. She accepts. They convince the Kurama clan to join them and abandon Konoha with Takani's help, who is also the most talented genjutsu user of the Kurama clan. They then unsealed Yakumo's power and tamed it with a fine jutsu that also enabled them to keep that power on being used on one of their own. Meanwhile, Mikoto figures out Kushina's intentions to leave the village and decides to join them and also try to find Itachi to get some answers. Team 7 is given the mission to Nami no Kuni, where Kakashi gets injured and decides to call for backup. Naruto's team is sent as backup there so that Sarutobi could assassinate Kushina out of Konoha. He handpicks a team for the job with the most suited shinobi, one of them being Takane Kurama. Team 11 moves to Nami no Kuni as ordered, but decides to use this opportunity to their advantage. They can't just leave since they also need to move Kurama clan out of the village and cause a lot of destruction in Konoha, which will only be possible during the invasion. Their goal right now is to acquire Gato's businesses as their own, get Nami no Kuni as a subservient nation or ally, and set up a hidden base to house them and their allies in time of need. Chapter 23. Undistinguished. Nami no Kuni. Wide grin crept up on Naruto's face as he came face to face with the bridge builder's house. Finally! We're here! His mother and sisters followed him to the door where the blonde boy proceeded to knock. He was answered shortly by a dark-haired girl who gaped at them like a fish out of water. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her before clearing his throat. Hello, I'm Uzumaki Naruto. We used to be classmates back at the academy, remember? That was only for one day. Onwai-chan. The blonde male chuckled sheepishly. Yeah, you're right. I forgot. Realizing that she was making herself look like an idiot, Ami shook herself out of her shock-induced stupor. I'm so sorry, please come in. I know all of you. She smiled shyly. Kasumi-chan talks a lot about you guys. Team 11 walked inside the house, which seemed well maintained as compared to the rest of the town. Though, that really wasn't saying much considering the state the rest of the town was in. This was about the same time that Ami noticed the small dark brown-haired girl hiding behind Naruto's golden-haired sister Natsume. Her gaze didn't go unnoticed by anyone, and Naruto decided to answer her unspoken inquiry. This is Ajiha-chan. She's going to be staying with us for now. His blonde sister patted the small girl on the head before giving her a sweet smile. Say hello to our friend Ajiha-chan. The little girl didn't come out in Ami's full view, preferring to stay behind her saviors. Nonetheless, she obeyed Natsumi. Hello? Ami smiled as she knelt down in front of the small girl. If she hadn't gone through ninja training, she would have probably missed the greeting completely. Hi Ajiha-chan. Let me know if you need anything. I'm Ami. Even though she didn't show it, inwardly she was shocked. So, do you have a soft spot for children? Perhaps Kasumi-chan is just different. Naruto-kun seems so friendly compared to her, and Natsumi is almost kind. In contrast, Kasumi-chan is just so cold. A clearing of throat brought her out of her musings, though it took her a moment to realize that it was Kushina making the sound. She immediately stood at attention, looking extremely embarrassed and scared at having basically ignored the powerful Kunoichi's presence until now.
Luckily for Amy, Kushina was too preoccupied observing Naruto to be angry at her for being ignored. Fascinating, neither of my daughters have noticed, but Naruto-kun has not once touched the ground directly. For a while it is a thin layer of air, and then it is nothing. I suppose he's using gravity manipulation. He acts like he's walking normally, but it's actually a very complicated chakra exercise. He never wastes time, does he? Even while he looks like he's fooling around, he's refining his chakra control, and who knows how many clones he has practicing something right now. I'm so proud.
By the time she had finished her thoughts, a small proud smile was gracing her face. She gave Naruto a pointed, "I know what you're doing" look. The boy looked confused for a moment before he nodded at her in acknowledgement, silently commending her for noticing his actions. So, Ka-chan noticed. Ah well, I didn't expect it to go past her for too long anyway. She is one of the best after all. You weren't really trying to hide it though. The blonde chuckled. True. Would you mind if we move on to dealing with the clients and the rest of your team? We came here to help you out of whatever mess Kakashi got you into. And the sooner we get done with it, the better.
Oh, of course, Kushina-sensei. They're upstairs, please follow me.
First floor of Tazuna's house, Nami no Kuni. In the room where Kakashi and Sakura were resting and being tended to, Sasuke was leaning against one of the walls and wondering what he had been doing all this time. By his age, Itachi had already achieved the rank of an Anbu captain with a fully matured Sharingan. When he compared his achievements to that, he had nothing. Not only was I not given early graduation like Itachi, even after I graduated, I'm not being taught anything useful. His musings were interrupted by the sound of the doorknob turning. The raven-haired Uchiha lifted his gaze to watch the door as it was opened to let 6 figures inside. All of them were somewhat familiar to him, and those who weren't didn't really matter to him either way. The woman in Anbu uniform was no doubt his mother's best friend. The redhead was flanked by 3 of her children, a crimson-haired girl, a blonde girl, and a rather tall blonde boy. There was also a 5-year-old following them like a lost puppy. The last figure was his dark-haired female teammate. His vengeful mind immediately sorted them all to suit his purposes. Rival, Naruto. Trash, Amai. Breeding stock, to revive the clan Kushina. More breeding stock, Kasumi. More breeding stock. Natsumi? Trash. With that done, Sasuke went back to plotting for his revenge and thinking of how to get stronger. Though he was averse to admit it, he desperately needed some guidance and a teacher. Kakashi, that worthless idiot. How dare he waste my time on that teamwork bullshit and missions, when he could have taught me those techniques he used against Zabuza. No matter, once I activate my Sharingan, none of this will matter. I will just copy them from him if he refuses to teach me. Other than the new arrivals, the room was empty except for 2 futons with the injured ninja in them. Tsunami was just about to leave, while her father Tazuna looked at the newcomers warily. Not quite sure what to make of the unfamiliar ninja, Tsunami started fidgeting. Hello. Kushina ignored her as she motioned for Natsumi to heal Kakashi and Sakura. Naruto and Kasumi, you 2 will go set up a perimeter and scout the area to the best of your capabilities. Report back to me once done. Sasuke, it will be your duty to stay here and guard your sensei and teammate until they recover properly. The Uchiha, who had been silently lost in his own thoughts, straightened himself abruptly and glared at the crimson-haired woman with defiance in his dark eyes. Why would I waste my time protecting them when I could be out training to get stronger to kill him? If they're too weak to defend themselves, they don't deserve to live as shinobi. The Uzumaki woman just raised a delicate eyebrow in his direction. You will do it because I said so. Anyone who doesn't follow my orders here is as good as dead, got that? She sent a small burst of killing intent in his direction as a warning, but to her surprise, instead of looking scared, the Uchiha Genin froze in his spot. Slowly, sweat started forming on his face, and he looked as if he had just seen Shodai Hokage's ghost. Then he screamed bloody murder as he took out a kunai and plunged it in his right thigh. Blood splattered on the floor from his wound and Tsunami screamed in fright. The Genin and Tazuna could only stare with wide eyes. What did you do to him? Tsunami asked in a panicked voice as she rushed towards the boy who had helped escort her father safely. Kushina just stood there, slightly surprised. Looks like he never had killing intent directed at him like that before. Those who aren't strong enough to resist it usually get illusions of dying. But don't worry, he'll be just fine eventually. Now, Natsumi, what do you have to say about their injuries? Tsunami was shocked at their uncaring attitude towards the boy, but now she understood what being a ninja meant. Insubordination was clearly not something that they tolerated. She wisely decided to keep her mouth shut until spoken to. Natsumi stood up from her position near Kakashi's head and proceeded towards Sakura. She started speaking as a green glow once again enveloped her hands. Kakashi-san's injuries are quite severe. He was poisoned, had exhausted almost all of his chakra, and overused his dojutsu almost to the point of becoming blind. That's not even mentioning countless other injuries on his body from what I assume was an intense taijutsu battle, or a powerful Suten jutsu. I did my best, but I'm afraid he won't be in any condition to fight till he gets proper treatment in Konoha. Kushina just kept nodding along. None of that mattered to her, but she was just trying to appear professional until they left Konoha for good. She knew full well that Natsumi could have healed Kakashi completely, but didn't. What about the genin? Natsumi frowned as she looked at the pink-haired girl. She didn't like Sakura after having spent years at the academy tolerating her. She didn't want to heal her unless her mother insisted. Her injuries are nothing serious, and I think it would be best, for her health, if we let her recover naturally. For Kakashi-san, as I told you before, I've healed him to the best of my capabilities. But I'd recommend him bed rest for at least a week, and no ninja stuff till he gets proper treatment. Kushina gave her golden-haired girl a smile and an understanding nod. She knew perfectly well what her daughter's intentions were. She hadn't healed Kakashi much, for many reasons. First and foremost being it would not be in their favor if the Hokage found out just how talented Natsumi was in healing. Another reason was that they didn't need an observant and nosy elite jonin keeping an eye on them. I don't know how much she healed them, but I'd be surprised if she did anything more than a diagnostic jutsu given their condition hasn't improved one bit. Very well, your duty will be to keep an eye on the security inside the house. As you wish, Kasama. With a bow, Natsumi exited the room to take a look around the house. Kushina then turned her gaze towards Tsunami and Tazuna. You two will come with me. We must talk. After seeing what she did with Sasuke when he disobeyed her, the two of them hastily made their way over to follow her out of the room. Konohagakure no Sato. It was a bright and happy day in Konoha, as was usual. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, people were laughing and going about with their carefree lifestyle, and children were playing and enjoying being with their parents. In general, everyone was as happy as they could be. They felt safe and secure as each one of these proud citizens of Konohagakure had absolute faith in their ninja's capability to protect them. It was on this day, when nothing was out of the ordinary, that Inuzuka Rin approached the two Chunin guards at the tall and imposing gates with some apprehension in her stance. While she was confident in her skills, it had been a while since she had last been in this village, and hence she couldn't be sure if they had added any new security measures to detect spies or other infiltrators.
Rin plastered a friendly smile on her face as she stood in front of the seemingly bored Chunin guards. After deciding not to take any chance of being recognized as the supposedly dead student of the Yondaime Hokage, she had opted to henge into a jonin she saw exiting the village just a few minutes ago, presumably for a mission. Rin vaguely remembered the kunoichi from the good old days when she was still a genin.
The guards at the gate seemed to perk up as their eyes fell upon her. "Kuronai-san!" One of the Shinin grinned at her in a welcoming and slightly perverse manner before taking out a notepad from under his table. "I didn't expect you to be back so early after just now leaving for a mission. Is this one of your infamous illusions to make our day?"
Kurenai just shrugged, not looking at all bothered by his comment. Hokage-sama's messenger Hawk called me back for some important confidential detail about my mission.
Kotetsu knew better than to push her for a further answer. A jonin would never give out confidential information unless necessary. "Very well, Yuhi-san, please proceed to the Hokage Tower then. Don't let me hold you up." With a firm nod, she walked off into the village. noticing that both the Channin were too busy staring at her ass to even think about checking up with the staff at the Hawkage Tower and confirm her claim. Or maybe they will. I just hope I'll finish what I came to do here and be out of here by the time they realize something isn't as it should be. She had to stalk outside the gates of Konoha for hours before getting this opportunity, and it seemed to be going well for now. So I was right. That was Yuhi Kurenai. She sure didn't change a lot, except now she is a jonin of Konohagakure who is skilled in the art of illusions. From what I remember, she had a somewhat detached personality. Great for my job. Now on to finding the Uzumaki.
She wanted to scoff at the carelessness the people of this ninja village had, shinobi and civilian alike. But as careless as they were, deep down Rin felt jealous. They were so happy and content, even if they probably didn't deserve it. A low growl almost escaped her throat as her eyes fell upon a couple making out. The girl had red fang-like tattoos on her cheeks, signifying her as an Inuzuka.
Rin hated every single Inuzuka with passion, especially when any of them seemed to be happy. She inhaled deeply, taking in the girl's scent and memorizing it for later. If she got the chance, that girl was gonna die soon. Konohagakure no Sato Hawkage Office. Normal name, light brown hair, dull brown eyes, and no particularly noteworthy features made the current Hawkage's secretary seem like a normal woman. But yet, she was high up when it came to social standings amongst civilians. Given that she handled most of the documents that went in and out of the Hawkage's office, the population viewed her as someone who possessed much valuable knowledge about the shinobi affairs. This marked her as someone highly respected and sought after by parents who weren't sure whether their child should become a shinobi or not, or by people who were paranoid of the shinobi. Of course, in reality, she didn't have any actual grasp of the shinobi world, as most of the important documents that passed by her desk were coded and could not be read by just anyone. She only knew what the shinobi allowed her to know, no more and no less. Click, click, click. Soft clicks of sandals echoing outside caught her attention. As she glanced up from her desk upon hearing someone approach her table, dark hair and red eyes came into view, causing her to relax. She flashed a smile upon recognizing the familiar figure of Yohi Kurenai. "How may I help you, Kurenai-san?" The Inuzuka in Kurenai's disguise inwardly smirked as she saw the look of admiration on the secretary's face. Most civilian women looked up to Kunoichi, and despite her high social standing, the civilian woman saw the Kunoichi as her superior. "Well, I need some advice from a senior Kunoichi on some issues. Would you by any chance know where Uzumaki Kushina might be found right now?" The secretary shook her head with a frown, barely holding in a groan. This wasn't the first time she had been asked for Kushina's whereabouts. As the most powerful kunoichi of Konohagakure, the list of people who wanted to meet the redhead was practically endless. Sometimes it was for a date, sometimes for political reasons, and sometimes it was to learn something from her. When will they ever get the hint? That cold bitch never helps anyone. It's just a waste of time to seek her for anything.
Kurenai-san, aren't you aware of Uzumaki-san's attitude problems? Besides, I think the D-demon has heavily influenced her and it will be best to avoid close proximity to someone like that. She flinched when she felt the chunin behind her stiffen. She had come very close to breaking the Sandame's law. High social standing or not, her head was going to fly if she went against the Hokage.
Thankfully, Rin was able to hide her surprise pretty well. She must have changed a lot. Last time I saw Sensei's wife, she was wearing a gorgeous smile and talking in a friendly way. Or maybe this bitch is just biased because she is the demon's mother. She gave a nonchalant shrug. I'd like to at least try, even if it doesn't work, that's fine. At first, the secretary looked irritated, but then she huffed and started shuffling through some files until she got the one she wanted. It was her job to maintain a file that contained the name and location of every single combat-capable shinobi in the village. A convenient way to keep track of whom they could rely on, their defensive capabilities, and whom they needed to call back for emergencies. While such an event was unlikely to happen in the strongest hidden village, it was still a precautionary step in practice since the Shodai's time. Of course, the list didn't have any detail for missions S rank or above. The location of people on such missions was simply marked as on the list. An almost relieved smile crept up on her face as she found Kushina's name. Uzumaki, Kushina West rank location. Nami no Kuni, team mission I Oz. Oh well, you can't do that right now anyway. Team 11 and their sensei Uzumaki Kushina was sent to Nami no Kuni on an A rank mission. They probably won't be back for a week or more. She started mumbling something that sounded like, hopefully they die there, but Rin pretended to not hear it. And so did the Channin. She pursed her lips for a moment before giving the secretary a polite nod. I see. Thank you for the help. As Kurenai was leaving, the secretary's eyes fell upon another name on her list that caused her eyes to widen. Yuhi Kurenai, Kibi rank location. Kazi no Kuni solo mission GEBL. Before she could so much as twitch, she watched in shock as the Channin that was supposed to help her fell face first on the floor. He wasn't breathing. She was still in shock as her own body fell limp, thanks to a poisoned senbon firmly embedded in her neck. Rin chuckled as she walked away from the two dead bodies. Easy as pie. Normally, no one would dare assassinate someone right outside of Keiji's office, but she knew about the soundproofing the place had. While it was originally intended to prevent village secrets from leaking out, this time it worked in her favor. Ground floor of Tazuna's house. Nami no Kuni. Tsunami and Tazuna fidgeted nervously under the calm gaze of the red-haired Kunoichi. They had no real idea what was going on and what they were supposed to do now, and the cold attitude of the woman was only making them more nervous. I'll get straight to the point. The only reason I'm here with my team is because the team you were originally assigned got grievously injured during the mission, and it was felt necessary to send backup to retrieve them. My duty here is to see to the completion of this mission, and bring back the original team unharmed if possible. Tazuna sighed in relief. For a moment he wondered if she was here to simply take the injured back. This means our bridge will be protected and will be safe from Gato, more so than what I had been hoping for. This woman, she looks very powerful. I'm glad she'll be helping us. However, since you lied about the mission in your original request, I have no real obligation to complete it, and could simply go back along with the injured team. Tazuna and his daughter reeled back in shock. The brunette was the first to recover. No, please. If you leave, then they will kill father. Tazuna fell down to his knees in front of the redhead. Please, I beg you. Our country needs this.
Kushina clicked her tongue, seemingly uncaring of their predicament. TCH, let me finish. Since I have some personal vendetta against Gato, I will continue this mission as of now. But let me make it very clear right now that you are not entitled to our service, and will not treat me or my team like it's our duty to protect you. What we do is up to us, do you understand?
Tazuna gulped. Why, yes. Kushina smiled. Well, that went along nicely. If only everyone understood their position this easily, life would have been much less annoying. The smile from the redhead had the bridge builder blushing despite his age. That's one hot chick, even though she's scarier than a bige. Good. Now you continue building that bridge of yours and forget about Gato. Tsunami wasn't sure if she felt scared or relieved, but for the moment she was thankful that her father wasn't going to go unprotected. Outskirts of Nami no Kuni. What do you mean we don't need to set up any traps? It was a curious question not meant to be any kind of accusation or doubt. And yet Takane couldn't help but fidget. Well, I personally think it would be against our best interests if we alert a Kunoichi as capable as Kushina-san of our presence before we're ready. Even with all of our skills combined, this mission has a 50% chance of success at best. So I'd rather be safe than sorry.
The muscular lightning user who had asked the question gave her a satisfied nod. I don't like anyone questioning my capabilities, but you do have a point. And you're the squad leader, so what you say goes, I suppose.
The Kurama girl smiled, honestly relieved that the man decided to pry no further into her reasons. I will alert her about us without putting any of her children in risk. If any one of them gets injured, I shudder to think of her reaction.
Suddenly a shiver crawled down her spine as she felt a malicious gaze focused on her. But when she looked around, she could find no one except her own team staring at her for further instructions. Was that just my imagination?
Shrugging the weird feeling off, she refocused on her team. We will wait till Kushina. She faltered, catching the sama before it could escape her lips. Till our target and her team are returning from the mission, hopefully exhausted, and with their guards down. Nami no Kuni. Naruto blinked, withdrawing the high amounts of chakra he was channeling into his eyes till it was down to the usual, slow trickle. Kasumi had no doubt noticed it, but dismissed it as him trying to scout the area. So Takane is here with what seems like a very powerful Ambu squad. No doubt on orders to do something I won't find funny. Kibi seemed to nod from inside her seal, completely in agreement with his statement. Truly you're very lucky, Naruto-kun. It was only recently that you obtained the extended range and ability to see through things thanks to the bonding with that Bokugan girl. And already you've found such a crucial use. The blonde chuckled. Quite right, Kyun-chan. Though I would have been able to detect them otherwise as well. Not at this range perhaps, but I doubt it would have taken too long to spot them. Even before bonding with Nina, my Dojutsu could easily see chakra regardless of if there was something in the way or not. The only real way to hide something with chakra within my range would be to put it behind some other chakra source. But now even that would be almost useless. The vixen seemed to purr in amusement. Her container sure liked to boast at times. Not to burst your bubble, but there was this guy known as the Null Man Ma, who could mask his chakra to the point where it seemingly disappeared, even from the Bakugan's vision. And he was able to hide his physical form too. Additionally, he had the particle release bloodline, which gave him the ability to disintegrate matter almost instantly. That's ignoring. He was also a cage-level shinobi. So don't think you're all that, if you face someone like him. Please tell me he's dead. I'm afraid not. Last info I had on him from the Uchiha's memories, he seemed to work in tandem with Madara. So probably going to hunt you down. Naruto paled. No way. I must find a way to defeat him. Do you have any ideas, Kai-chan? There was silence from Hitomi's side for almost a full minute. Naruto was just about to give up and ask his twin for any ideas, when Kibi seemed to incredulously break into a fit of giggles. Ha ha ha. You should have seen your face. Don't worry, he's long dead. I was just joking. Damn you, Kai-chan, I hate you. Ah? A relieved smile crossed his face. Null Man Maha? I will have to see if I can find some way to replicate particle release or his chakra vanishing technique. They sound incredibly deadly. For a moment I was even scared. While he had mumbled that to himself, Kasumi heard him clearly enough. What are you talking about, Inoue-chan? Nothing really. Just discussing some trivial stuff with Kai-chan. The redhead bit her lip to hide her annoyance. She would never let her brother know, though. I know I shouldn't be jealous, but it's always her he's talking with. If I get my hands on her. That's when her brother abruptly started walking back in the direction of the town area of Nami no Kuni. If you don't mind me asking, why are we heading to the town now, Inoue-chan? Naruto didn't slow down and kept walking, forcing his twin to keep following. Since Kei-chan didn't tell us what to do aside from go around exploring, I was thinking that's exactly what we should do. Get a feel of this place, so to speak. Kasumi looked doubtful for a moment before voicing her confusion. Didn't we have to look for a suitable location to set up a hidden base here? You know, a place we could hide in, or use as a safe house or something after we escape from Konoha. Maybe we should do that first and explore the town later.
The blonde chuckled and kept walking, with his sister somewhat reluctantly following behind. I've already sent my shadow clones to look for that, no need to do that chore-like activity ourselves. I'm certain that they should have already started setting the base up.
The redhead looked at him startled. All by yourself, Anami-chan? I thought all of us will contribute in making it, since we all have expertise in different areas. Wouldn't that be better? Don't worry. I'll leave things that I think others might be better suited for untouched. I'll take you and others there when we get some time and we can take care of it then. And Nina-chan can do her part after we get out of Konoha. Kasumi gave him a hesitant nod, not completely comfortable with just her brother taking most of the responsibility on himself. If you think that's the best way to do it, it's fine with me. Just don't overwork yourself. Don't worry about it. Oh, and by the way, could you write down the basics of your space-time F-Jutsu in as simple words as possible? The redhead looked at him, slightly startled by the unusual request. I will if you say so, but what do you need it for? The blonde shrugged. Well, I was thinking of learning the other types of sealing as well. I've already mastered combat F-Jutsu to a satisfactory level, and now the progress in it is going to be really slow, if any. I'll start working on it as soon as I get some time, Ane-chan. But don't get your hopes too high, okay? Ka-chan said it's better to be a master in one field than a mediocre F-Jutsu user of all fields. And from the way she said it, it was rather impossible to be a master in more than one field due to the sheer difficulty. Naruto just smirked at her. Don't worry that pretty little head of yours over this, Kasumi-chan. I don't care what is believed, or what others think the limits are. I will master all arts in F-Jutsu, no matter how hard it is or how long it takes. Kasumi just stared at him, wondering where those thoughts had come from. I will help you in any way I can then, if you're really that sure of trying this. Should I ask Wani-chan and Ka-chan to start making notes too?
You do that, I'll ask Nina myself later. I know you're more interested in furthering your own field, but this is just something I want to do. It's like mastering all the elements. No one believed it was possible, but I'm well on my way to do it, ain't I? Gotcha.
The redhead gave him a warm smile. Got it. That's when the faint sound of cheering caused his ears to twitch. Hear that? Hear. What? The blonde hummed to himself. She may be a capable kunoichi, but my heightened demonic senses are beyond hers. And she's never been out of Konoha. In fact, she's mostly been living in the Uzumaki compound all her life. Deciding to test his theory, he looked at his twin curiously. I heard multiple voices cheering. What do you think? Kasumi shrugged. Maybe some sort of small festival is going on nearby? Naruto clicked his tongue. Kasumi really didn't have any sort of experience out of the compound. You don't have any field experience, do you? Kasumi blushed in embarrassment. I'm sorry. The blonde ignored her apology with a shake of his head. She'll grow out of it with time. I doubt it's a festival with the current condition of this place. There's no place for a festival. Let's go see if it's anything interesting. Town Center Nami. No Kuni. Ha 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 ha. Look at the old bastard struggle. Not so high and mighty now, are you? You bastard blacksmith. The roguish-looking man grinned viciously as he once again pulled hard on the rope that was tied around the old man's neck. 20 meters away from them was a bowl of steaming rice placed in front of a girl tied to a tree. Don't give up now, old man. If you can reach that bowl, I'll let your granddaughter have it. Renewed determination showed on the old man's face as he once again pulled with all his might, ignoring the painful sensation around his neck and his protesting body. Just a little bit more was all he could think. The girl mentioned by the thug appeared to be 7 years old, with light brown hair and dark brown eyes. Her clothing was slightly torn and dirty, and she looked mildly malnourished as well. She was sobbing uncontrollably as she watched her grandfather try to get the food for her. I'm not hungry, Grandpa. Please, sat. The old man's tired eyes locked into hers, and she knew then that her plea was going to be unanswered. Her grandfather was the most stubborn person she had ever seen. Why did he have to refuse forging weapons for those people?
Around them, people of the wave watched helplessly as the once proud and skilled master blacksmith struggled to get a bowl of food for his granddaughter. But they couldn't, and wouldn't, interfere with Gado's thugs. Not after what happened to the last person who tried. Anyone who showed the briefest sign of protest to their actions was made an example out of, like Kaiza, or the old man and his granddaughter right before them. The man who held the old man's rope laughed once more as the struggling man collapsed, his companions joining in this time. Around 20 of Gado's thugs cheered him on as he continued torturing the person who had dared refuse them. That was when a voice suddenly interrupted their cheering. Just some pathetic thugs and a crowd of weaklings. Nothing special, Kasumi. The thugs whirled around as their attention immediately went to the owner of the voice. Not many had the guts to speak up to them like that in this place, and the few who tried always ended up like the old man at their feet. Who dares? The leading thug's words died in his throat as he noticed the shinobi attire and the headband. As shinobi, in our country, which one you imbeciles hired them, answer me. A cold shiver ran down his spine as a kunai was pressed to his neck. In his rage at the villagers for daring to hire shinobi against them, he had made the mistake of ignoring Naruto.